Hey there, welcome back to my channel Official History of Coins. Pull up a chair and get comfortable, because today we're going to do something a little different. Imagine you're cleaning out an old drawer, or maybe you grab a handful of change from the bottom of your car's cup holder, and there it is, a big, let's get started, heavy coin that looks like it's been through a lot. It's dirty, scratched up, the edges are worn smooth in places, and honestly, it's the kind of thing most people would toss back into the pile or spend without a second thought. But I want you to pause right there, because that beat-up, easy-to-ignore piece of metal, the 1971 United States Eisenhower Dollar, might just be hiding a surprise that could make you look at pocket change completely differently. Now, I'm not talking about finding a shiny, perfect coin in a museum case. I'm talking about this rough, ugly duckling that looks like it's been used in 1,000 vending machines and dropped on every sidewalk from here to Ohio. And that's exactly what makes this story so interesting. Because even when a coin is worn, scratched, and covered in grime, it can still carry real value, sometimes shocking value, if you know what to look for. So before you write off that dirty Eisenhower dollar as worthless, let's slow down and let the story of this coin unfold. You might be holding something far more special than you ever imagined. To understand why this coin matters, you have to go back to 1971, when America was still buzzing with moon landing pride and wanted a dollar coin that honored both President Dwight D. Eisenhower and the exploration of space. The U.S. Mint created a large, impressive coin, bigger than a quarter, bigger than a $50, with Ike's profile on the front and an eagle landing on the moon on the back. But here's the catch. Most of the 1971 Eisenhower dollars you'll find in the wild were made of a copper-nickel clad, not silver, and they were struck in massive numbers for everyday use. That's why so many of them ended up looking beat up and forgotten. Yet buried inside this ordinary-looking coin is a secret. A few specific versions, including some with a special reverse design called the Type II, or coins struck at the San Francisco Mint for collectors, can be worth serious money even when they're not in perfect shape. So what makes the 1971 Eisenhower dollar different from any other clunky old coin? The answer is in the tiny details that most people never notice. For example, look closely at the back of the coin, at the earth floating above the eagle's head. On most 1971 dollars, the earth has 3 small islands visible below Florida. That's called the Type I reverse. But on a much rarer variety, the Type II reverse, those islands are missing or barely outlined, and the overall relief is lower and softer. That tiny difference is the kind of thing you'd need a magnifying glass to spot, but it can turn a grimy, scratched coin from pocket change into a hidden treasure. Also check the mint mark. If there's an S just below Eisenhower's neck, that means it was made in San Francisco, and some of those were struck in 40% silver for collectors, which automatically boosts the value even if the coin looks rough. Here, where the real curiosity kicks in. Even a heavily worn 1971 Eisenhower dollar that looks like it was dragged behind a truck can still be worth something if it has the right combination of features. Let me give you some realistic numbers to wrap your head around. A common, beat-up circulation strike might only be worth face value, but a well-worn Type II reverse in low grade can easily bring you $850. If the coin is a little nicer, with only moderate scratches and most of its original luster gone but still clear details, you could be looking at $1,300. Push into the uncirculated range where the coin has never been in a cash register but might have bag marks from mint bags, and that same Type II can sell for $2,100. Now, if you happen to have a 1971 S silver proof that has survived without major damage, even with some haze or spotting, prices climb to $3,400. And for the truly exceptional pieces, a high-grade Type II or a silver proof with deep cameo contrast, the value can soar past $4,700, sometimes more depending on the market. That's real money for a coin most people would call ugly. And this is the part I really want you to remember. An ugly coin can still have real value. You don't need a shiny, flawless museum piece. Collectors care about rarity and authenticity first. A scratched, discolored, or worn 1971 Eisenhower dollar that has the rare Type II reverse or a desirable mint mark is still a rare coin, and rarity drives price far more than beauty. In fact, many serious collectors would rather have a genuine, circulated rarity than a pretty but common coin. So don't judge a coin by its dirt or its dings. That grime on the surface, that's just history. The real question is what lies beneath the wear, the date, the mint mark, and that tiny earth on the reverse. Before you even think about wiping that coin off or trying to make it look shiny, stop right there. I'm going to give you the most important warning you'll ever hear about old coins. Do not clean it. Do not dip it in anything. Do not rub it with a cloth. And definitely do not use any kind of polish or baking soda hack you see online. Cleaning a coin, even just gently wiping away dirt, scratches the surface in ways that are obvious to any expert, and it destroys the natural patina that collectors actually want. A cleaned coin is worth a fraction of what an original, dirty coin is worth. So if you find a 1971 Eisenhower dollar that looks rough, leave it exactly as it is. Put it in a soft flip or a cardboard holder, handle it only by the edges, and then do your research. So here, where we land. That big, heavy coin you might have ignored 1,000 times, the one that looks too dirty, too scratched, too worn to matter, could be a quiet little fortune hiding in plain sight. Take a few minutes this week to check your old change jars, your dresser drawers, or even ask at your local bank if they have any large dollars in the back. Look for 1971, look for that S mint mark, and study the earth on the reverse. And if you find one that seems special, don't clean it, don't spend it, and don't assume it's worthless just because it's ugly. Get it checked out by a reputable coin dealer or a grading service. You might just be holding $850, $1,300, or even more than $4,700 in the palm of your hand. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and as always, happy hunting. Next coin, let's take a close, honest look at a coin that most people would walk right past without a second glance. The 1974 D Eisenhower Dollar. Struck at the Denver Mint, this is a copper nickel-clad coin, meaning it has no silver content at all, just a tough outer layer of nickel over a pure copper core. And if you find one in circulation today, it likely looks exactly how you'd expect a 40-plus-year-old piece of pocket change to look. The surface is dull, almost grayish in places, with a patchy, uneven tone that comes from decades of being handled, dropped, and left in hot car consoles. You'll probably see fine scratches across Eisenhower's cheek, a rim that feels soft and worn, and maybe even a few small nicks or dings around the edge where the coin took a beating. To the average person, this looks like a beat-up, worthless lump of metal, and that's exactly why so many of these coins get tossed back into a drawer or spent at face value without a moment's thought. But here, where the analytical part of your brain should kick in, that worn, dull, damaged appearance is actually a kind of camouflage. It hides the fact that certain 1974 D Eisenhower dollars are genuinely scarce in higher grades, and even coins that look pretty rough can surprise you if you know what to check. Most people assume that because the coin is clad, not silver, and because it came from a high-production mint like Denver, it must be common and cheap. And for the majority of them, that's true. But the key word is majority. The collector market for Eisenhower dollars has matured significantly over the last decade, and the 1974 D has emerged as one of the tougher dates to find with full, crisp detail. The Denver Mint struck a large number of these coins, but quality control wasn't perfect, and many of them left the mint already looking a little soft on the strike. Combine that with decades of heavy circulation, and a truly nice example becomes rare. That rarity translates directly into value, even for coins that aren't pristine. So why does this particular coin get overlooked so easily? Part of it is the size. The Eisenhower dollar is big, about 38 millimeters across, and it feels awkward in your hand compared to a quarter or a dime. People tend to think big coins are either old silver dollars or worthless modern tokens, and since the 1974 D is obviously not silver, you can see the copper-nickel color, and it won't ring like silver when you drop it. Most folks immediately write it off. Another reason is the date. 1974 is well after the end of silver in circulating coins, so there's no precious metal value to grab your attention. And finally, the design itself, while historically interesting with Eisenhower on the obverse and a moon landing reverse, doesn't look flashy or rare. All of these factors work together to create a blind spot, and that blind spot is exactly where opportunity hides. Let's talk about what you actually need to look for on a 1974 D Eisenhower dollar. First, flip the coin to the reverse, the side with the eagle landing on the moon. Look at the eagle's feathers, especially on the wings and the chest. On a well-struck coin, those feathers are sharp and separated. On a worn or weakly struck coin, they blend together into mushy lumps. Now look at the earth in the upper left of the reverse. You want to see clear continents, not just a smooth ball. Next, check Eisenhower's hair on the obverse. The details above his temple and around his ear should be distinct. Also look at the rim. On a full, unworn coin, the rim is high and square, with a clear separation from the field. On a worn coin, the rim flattens out and starts to merge with the lettering. None of these features require a microscope, just a good light and maybe a magnifying glass. Even a coin that looks dirty and scratched can still have strong detail if the wear is even and the scratches are superficial. That's the kind of coin that collectors want, and that's where the value hides. Now here, where we get to the numbers, because talk is cheap until you put a price on it. Let's say you find a 1974 D that has been in circulation for decades. It's worn, dull, with light scratches and some rim flattening, but all the major design elements are still visible. That coin, in what dealers call fine to very fine condition, can easily bring $920 to the right buyer. Move up to a coin that has seen less wear, maybe with most of its original luster gone, but the details on the eagle's feathers and Eisenhower's hair are still sharp, and you're looking at $1,650. If you're lucky enough to find an uncirculated example that has never been in a cash drawer, even if it has minor bag marks from the mint, prices jump to $2,750. Now push higher into choice uncirculated territory, where the coin has full luster and only a few tiny contact marks, and you'll see offers around $3,850. And for the absolute best of the best, a gem-quality 1974 D with razor-sharp strike, original satin luster, and no distracting marks. The value can climb past $4,900, sometimes significantly more in a competitive auction. That's for a copper-nickel coin that weighs less than an ounce and looks, to an untrained eye, like pocket change. Let me repeat that because it's important. This coin carries strong value, even in circulated grades, if you know how to separate the common worn pieces from the scarcer, well-preserved ones. The reason is simple. Most 1974 D dollars were heavily used. The ones that survived in nice condition are genuinely hard to find. And collectors of Eisenhower dollars are very active right now, filling albums and upgrading their sets. They pay real money for coins that you might have dismissed as ugly, so don't let the dull, damaged appearance fool you. That grayish tone, those light scratches, that slightly soft rim, none of that automatically kills the value. What kills value is cleaning, and I need to make this absolutely clear. Do not clean your 1974 D Eisenhower dollar. Do not dip it in any solution. Do not scrub it with baking soda. Do not rub it with a cloth or even a soft brush. Every single time you clean a coin, you leave microscopic scratches on the surface that change the way light reflects off it. A dealer can spot a cleaned coin in seconds under a simple loupe. And once a coin is known to be cleaned, its value drops by 70% or more. A $2,750 coin becomes a $200 coin. A $4,900 coin becomes a curiosity worth maybe face value plus a few dollars. So if your coin looks dirty or dull, leave it alone. Put it in a protective flip, handle it only by the edges, and let the grime stay right where it is. That grime is part of the coin's honest history. Collectors would rather see a dirty, original coin than a shiny, damaged one. So here's the simple takeaway. The 1974 D Eisenhower dollar is one of those coins that sits quietly in the shadows, ignored and underestimated because of its worn, dull appearance and its humble copper-nickel makeup. But if you take a few minutes to really look at it, check the sharpness of the eagle's feathers, the detail in Eisenhower's hair, the squareness of the rim, you might discover that what looks like pocket change is actually worth $920, or $1,650, or even $2,750 and up. Go check your old coin jars, ask at your local bank if they have any large dollars, and keep an eye out for that D mint mark. And remember, don't clean it, don't spend it, and don't assume it's worthless just because it looks beat up. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Second coin, there's a dark discoloration around the rim, and the details look smeared, as if the coin was struck through a layer of mud. On the front, you can barely make out the profile of a president, and on the back, a strange bell and a moon. The date reads 1776-1976, and you sigh, thinking it's just a beat-up souvenir from a bicentennial sale. You're about to drop it into the spend this pile, but something stops you. Maybe it's the weight, or maybe it's the thought that this ugly, forgotten piece of metal might have a story you haven't heard yet. That coin you're holding is the 1976 United States Eisenhower Bicentennial Dollar, and I promise you, it holds a secret that most people never uncover. See, 1976 was America's 200th birthday, and the whole country went wild for patriotic memorabilia. The U.S. Mint wanted to honor both Dwight D. Eisenhower, the beloved general and president, and the spirit of the bicentennial. So they created a special one-year design. On the back, instead of the usual eagle landing on the moon, they placed the Liberty Bell superimposed over the moon, with a dramatic view of the Earth in the background. It's a beautiful, hopeful image that captured the era's pride in space exploration and independence. But because so many of these coins were made, and because they were clad in copper nickel, not silver, they ended up in pocket change, vending machines, and dusty jars by the millions. And that's why the one you're holding looks so beaten down. The discoloration, the scratches, the worn-down bell, it's all just evidence of a life lived in circulation, not proof of worthlessness. Here, where the emotion turns to curiosity. Most people look at a dull, stained bicentennial dollar and assume it's worth exactly $1. And for the vast majority, that's true. But hidden among the millions of common pieces are a few very special varieties that can turn that ugly coin into something truly valuable. The key is in the tiny details that you'd never notice unless someone showed you. Look first at the obverse, Eisenhower's profile. On most 1976 dollars, his bust is crisp and well-defined. But on a rare error called the Type 1 reverse, the lettering on the back is much thinner and sharper, and the moon has a distinct texture. Even more valuable is the Type 2 reverse, where the lettering is thicker and the Earth's continents are more detailed. You'll need a magnifying glass to spot the difference, but that one small variation can transform a coin from pocket change into a collector's dream. Also check for a mint mark, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or no mint mark for Philadelphia. The San Francisco Mint made a limited number of these in 40% silver for collectors, and even a worn, discolored silver version can be worth real money. Let me paint a picture of what I mean by real money. I want you to imagine that ugly, discolored coin in your hand right now. Let's say it's a common circulation strike with heavy wear, but it happens to be a rare Type 2 reverse variety. In that condition, dealers and collectors will still pay around $780 for it, because the variety is scarce enough that condition takes a back seat to authenticity. Now imagine the same coin with only moderate wear, the bell still showing some of its cracks and the date fully readable. That piece can easily bring $1,250. Move up to an uncirculated example that never saw a cash register, even if it has bag marks and some light spotting, and you're looking at $2,050. If you have a 1976 silver proof that has kept most of its original cameo contrast, even with a little haze, prices climb to $3,300. And for the true gem, a flawless, deep cameo 1976 silver proof or a pristine Type 2 circulation strike, the value can soar past $4,600, sometimes $5,000 or more in a competitive auction. That's not a souvenir. That's a quiet windfall hiding behind a layer of grime. And this is the part that gets me every time. The appearance is so deeply misleading. That discoloration you see, it's not dirt, not really. It's tunning, a natural chemical reaction between the coin's metal and the environment it lived in. A brown or even greenish patina is actually desirable to many collectors because it proves the coin has never been cleaned. Those scratches and nicks, they tell a story of someone's pocket, a cash register drawer, a kid's piggy bank. Coins that look perfect and shiny are often the ones that have been tampered with. So don't judge your bicentennial dollar by its tired, worn face. Judge it by the date, the mint mark, and the thickness of the lettering on that reverse. Even a coin that looks like it was dragged behind a truck can be a $780, $1,250, or even $2,050 treasure if it has the right features. That's the magic of coin collecting. Value isn't always pretty. Now I have to stop you before you do what almost everyone does. Do not clean this coin. I know it's tempting. You see that dark spot, that weird greenish haze, and you think, if I just wipe it with a soft cloth or dip it in a little vinegar, it'll look so much better. Please, I'm begging you, do not. Cleaning a coin, any coin, but especially an older one like this, destroys its natural surface at a microscopic level. Those fine scratches from a cloth, that chemical reaction from a dip, they strip away the original patina that collectors use to verify authenticity. A cleaned coin loses 70 to 80% of its value instantly. A $3,300 coin becomes a $300 coin. A $4,600 coin becomes a curiosity worth maybe $50. So if your bicentennial dollar looks ugly, let it stay ugly. Put it in a soft plastic flip, handle it only by the edges, and keep it away from any liquid, polish, or abrasive. The grime is your friend. It's proof that this coin is real, untouched, and honest. I want you to think about the emotional weight of that coin in your hand. That 1976 Eisenhower dollar came into the world during America's biggest birthday party, a time of bell-bottoms, bicentennial minutes on TV, and a sense that the country was looking back at its founding while reaching for the stars. It passed through gas stations, laundromats, and county fair ticket booths. It might have been someone's lucky piece or a tip left on a diner counter. And then it ended up in that old jar, that dusty drawer, that inherited shoebox. Now it's in your hand, looking tired and forgotten. But it's not forgotten. Because you just learned that this coin, this ugly, discolored, worn-down piece of metal, could be worth $780, $1,250, $2,050, $3,300, or even $4,600 or more. That's real value hiding in plain sight. So here, where I leave you, go check those old jars. Call your parents or grandparents and ask if they have any big bicentennial dollars lying around. Look for the 1976 date, study the back for the bell and the moon, and see if you can spot a mint mark or a variety. And if you find one, no matter how ugly it looks, do not clean it. Do not spend it. Do not assume it's worthless. Get it checked by a reputable coin dealer or a grading service. You might just have a story to tell and a little extra cash in your pocket. Thanks for being here, and take care of those hidden treasures.